Good evening and welcome to Rtm News. My name is Vicky Lee White and I'll be bringing you your top stories tonight. In South African news, SABC's Vuyo Mvoko and crew mugged on camera. While waiting to go live, SABC's contributing editor Vuyo Mvoko and the crew were victims of a mugging. The crew was stationed near Mill Park Hospital while reporting on Zambian President Edgar Lungu's arrival at the hospital. The South African National Editors Forum released a statement saying the incident brings home the level of criminality in South Africa. I quote, "The South African National Editors Forum notes with concern the mugging of SABC contributing editor Vuyo Mvoko and several senior staffers captured on camera outside Johannesburg's Mill Park Hospital as he was about to cross live for a 7 p.m. television news segment last night. One of Vuyo's muggers is clearly heard exhorting his colleague to shoot the dog. The SABC crew were robbed of their cell phones and a laptop, but thankfully were not harmed. The muggers are clearly identifiable on camera and we hope the arrests and prosecution will occur soon. SANEF appeals to members of the public who recognize the men to do the right thing and alert the police to their identities and whereabouts so that the law can take its course." In the next story, policeman stabbed at home in Diepsloot. A policeman was attacked and stabbed in Diepsloot, north of Johannesburg, Gauteng police said today. Lieutenant Colonel Katlego Mogale said the officer was found in a pool of blood in front of his room in Extension 4 last night. I quote, "The member had multiple stab wounds on his body, on the chest, in the neck and at the back. The member had been admitted in a hospital in the intensive care unit. The motive for the attack was not known. He was attached to the Diepsloot police station." Mogale said a man was arrested last night in connection with the stabbing and charged with attempted murder. Now let's have a look at other African stories. Zambia President Lungu goes to South Africa for treatment. Zambian President Edgar Lungu has gone to South Africa for medical tests after his doctors found that he needed throat surgery. I quote, "I hope to come back alive. No one wants to die," Mr. Lungu joked before leaving yesterday afternoon. He was discharged from a local hospital on Monday, a day after collapsing while giving a speech to mark International Women's Day in the capital, Lusaka. He was elected in January following the death of his predecessor, Michael Sata. During the campaign, the 58-year-old denied reports that he was sick and he offered to undergo a medical checkup. In the next story, Burundi dissident Rob Jabu on easy prison break. Leading Burundian dissident Hussein Radjabu has told the BBC that he escaped from prison last week by walking, I quote, "upright under the beam of floodlights without any problem." Burundian police have said prison officials aided the escape. Radjabu said he is now with his supporters but did not specify where. The governing party's ex-chief was seen as Burundi's most powerful man until his arrest in 2007 amid a rumored rift with President Pierre Nkurunziza. In his interview with the BBC, Radjabu accused the president of having orchestrated his dismissal as party chief, as well as a subsequent trial on charges of plotting against the state. Radjabu's escape came 8 years into his 13-year prison sentence. He said plans had been afoot to harm him since he was sent to prison. He escaped because, I quote, "the right time for us to do so." In the next story, Chad shut down over deadly helmet protests. Chilean authorities have closed all schools and universities after deadly protests over new regulations requiring motorbike riders to wear a helmet. At least 3 people were killed over several days of student-led protests. Motorbikes are a popular form of transport in Chad and are frequently used as taxis. Many people oppose the new safety regulation, arguing that helmets are too expensive as well as too hot for the climate. Helmet prices have tripled since the new regulation was introduced earlier this month. Stay with us and I'll be right back with more news. back to Rtm News. Let's have a look at the Nigerian stories. In Nigerian news, confusion as server failure mars commencement of UTME exams. The postponed 2015 Unifying Tertiary Matriculation Examination, billed to commence yesterday nationwide, was again marred by some hiccups over the failure of internet service as well as failure of the biometric machines to capture candidates' thumbprints and other data at some centers. Another controversy which emerged was the complaints raised by candidates who registered for the UTME in Lagos State but were posted to neighboring states of Ogun and Kwara to write the examinations. This development, it was learned, was as a result of shortage of computer-based test centers in Lagos State to cater for the huge number of candidates billed to write the exams. According to the Public Relations Officer of Joint Admission Matriculation Board, Mr. Benjamin Fabian, over 1.4 million candidates will be writing this year. According to reports from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, Enugu State, where the UMTE was held at the Department of Economics, the first batch of candidates who were expected to start the examinations did not start until at about 3:30 p.m. due to the lack of internet. In the next Nigerian story, Clark's wife attacked by hoodlums in Abeokuta. There was pandemonium yesterday in Abeokuta when hoodlums suspected to be loyal to one of the political parties attacked wife of elder statesman Chief Edwin Clark, Dr. Bisola Sidipo Clark, and her supporters in the Sokori area of Abeokuta North Local Government Area, Ogun State. The incident, which dispersed large members of the People's Democratic Party in the area who had been gathered to welcome their leaders, left many injured and hospitalized. Mrs. Sidipo Clark, who is the senatorial candidate of PDP for Ogun Central Zone, was on tour of her constituency following the shift of the poll earlier scheduled for February 14th, 2015 to March 28, 2015. She was whisked away by her security detail shortly before the thugs got to her. Some of her security details were, however, injured. That's it for the African news tonight. Stay with us and we'll be right back. Open Heavens, a guide to a close fellowship with God, Volume 15 for adults and Volume 8 for teenagers, 2015, written by Pastor E.A. Adeboye, is available. Open Heavens is a motivating and inspirational Christian daily guidebook to teach the ways of God. You can get a copy of the Open Heavens at Redemption Camp, Kilometer 46, Lagos, Ibadan Expressway, Mowe, Ogun State, Nigeria, and every parish of the Redeemed Christian Church of God. You can also grab yours at the regional headquarters, the Master's Place, 4 Commercial Avenue, Stratham Park, Randburg, Johannesburg. Telephone numbers +277 1179 14141. And our Zambia regional headquarters, Regional Secretariat Plot 8665 Kamloops Road, next to the Evangelical Fellowship, Lusaka, Zambia. Telephone number +2609 7741 0426. Or you can also get a copy at any of our regional headquarters of the Redeemed Christian Church of God worldwide. For more information, visit our website www.rccg.org and www.eadeboye.com. When you read, you skim the surface. When you study, you discover the treasure. God bless you. Welcome back to Rtm News. Let's have a look at the international stories. In the first international story, baby reportedly killed by power saw in Chicago. A 7-month-old girl has died after reportedly having her throat cut with a power saw in a Chicago home, authorities said. The baby's grandmother, 52-year-old Manuela Rodriguez, has been charged with first-degree murder over the death. Police believe Rodriguez cut the girl's throat with the power saw because she wouldn't stop crying, the broadcasters reported. The woman then tried to kill herself and was found by another relative, the Chicago Tribune reported. She suffered minor self-inflicted injuries, police told CNN. She is expected to appear in bond court today. An autopsy yesterday found that the baby died of blunt force injuries to the head, with suffocation from a shock being placed in her mouth a contributing factor, WLS reported. In the next story, top French athletes among 10 dead after 2 helicopters collide in Argentina. 3 French sports stars were among 10 people killed when 2 helicopters collided in Argentina on Monday evening, authorities said. The helicopters were reported to be heading to a gorge in northwestern Argentina for the filming of the reality TV show Dropped for the French broadcaster TF1. 8 French passengers and the chopper's 2 Argentinian pilots died in the mid-air crash near the town of Villa Castelli in La Rioja province, Argentina's state news agency Telam reported, citing local authorities. The dead included the famed sailor Florence Artaud, who in 1990 broke the record for crossing the North Atlantic alone, the swimmer Camille Muffat, who won 3 medals in the 2012 Olympics in London, and the boxer Alexis Vastine, who won a bronze medal at the 2008 Olympics in Beijing. Members of the TV production team were among the other French victims, French authorities said. Dozens arrested in crackdown on Myanmar student protest. Students en route to Yangon, Myanmar to protest an education bill were met with violence from police yesterday, according to multiple media reports and international watch groups. A quote, "We all watched while a young man was beaten extremely hard and repeatedly by about 3 or 4 policemen in heavy riot gear," Unzari, a spokesperson for the Cooperative Committee for Trade Unions, told CNN. Students are seeking changes to an education bill that they say limits academic freedom and have been in negotiations with authorities, but these have been curbed because of the crackdown. The violence yesterday occurred in Letbandan, a town of about 145 kilometers north of Yangon, the nation's largest city. The student march began in Mandalay, about 640 kilometers north of Yangon. Zarni said the students had been given the red light on proceeding to Yangon. Police arrested about 40 to 50 people, according to Zarni. In the final story tonight, Top Gear host Jeremy Clarkson suspended by BBC. The BBC has suspended Jeremy Clarkson, the host of car show Top Gear, following a fracas with a BBC producer, the broadcaster said in a statement. Jeremy Clarkson has been suspended pending an investigation, they said. I quote, "No one else has been suspended. Top Gear will not be broadcast this Sunday. This is not the first time that Clarkson has been at the center of controversy. In May this year, the television presenter asked forgiveness after using a racist term during a taping of the show. Clarkson had mumbled the N-word while reciting a children's nursery rhyme, but that version of the take was never aired. Last year, the BBC show hit the headlines when Argentina complained about a Top Gear special filmed in the country in which the number plate H982FKL was used, interpreted by some as a reference to the 1982 Falklands War. Forced to stop filming and leave the country, Clarkson said on the BBC Newsbeat website that the use of the plate was purely coincidental. In a previous article on their website, the BBC said Jeremy Clarkson is not a man given to considered opinion. In their statement, the corporation declined to comment. That's all the news that I have for you tonight. Stay with us as we're crossing over to Adalani for the sports.
Are you celebrating a birthday, a wedding, office party, anniversary, or feel like having a taste of the best cake ever? Then Cakes at Eddie is the place to go. We specialize in all kinds of cakes, such as novelty cakes, character cakes, and many more. Just think of something and we'll make it for you. Our telephone numbers are 061 446 1812 or call us at 082 369 2880, or you can email us on at cakeseddy@gmail.com, or you can also visit our website at www.eddiescakes.co.za. Cakes at Eddie, where elegance and taste meet. Jesus, I believe in you.
Good evening and a warm welcome to everybody. You're currently tuned into RTM Sports News with me, Adelani Ogurende, giving you the very latest results and fixtures in the world of sport. Here are tonight's top stories. In African football news, Box and Chipa Hoodoo and Amazulu Thumb Clever Boys. In international football news, Real Madrid and Porto reached the quarter-finals of the Champions League. In Cricket World Cup 2015 news, Ireland dealt qualification blow by India. In athletics news, incredible 95-year-old man sets world record in 200-meter dash. Starting with the latest PSL results, Umpo Makola and Safiso Umyeni's goals in the first half were enough to hand Orlando Pirates 3 points as they beat Chipa United 2-0 in their APSA Premiership clash on Tuesday night at the Orlando Stadium. The victory was Orlando Pirates' first against Chipa United, and it has seen the Bucks move into the second spot on the log standings. In another encounter, Bulelo Mabizela and Goodman Dlamini and Bongiso Untuli were all on target as Premiership strugglers Amazulu continued their revival with a spirited 3-1 victory over Wits at the Moses Mabhida Stadium in Durban. Going international now to the Champions League matches played last night. Real Madrid survived a real scare to qualify for their 5th successive Champions League quarter-final, despite conceding 4 away goals to an impressive Schalke. The holders were hanging on in the final few seconds as Schalke was just 1 goal away from producing one of the competition's biggest shocks after winning the second leg. Trailing 2-0 after the first leg, Schalke twice led through Christian Fox and ex-Real Madrid striker Klaas-Jan Huntelaar. But Cristiano Ronaldo leveled each time with a header. Karim Benzema gave the hosts the advantage on the night after the break, but goals from Leroy Sane and Huntelaar saw a below-par Real endure a nervous finale in a thrilling encounter. World Player of the Year Ronaldo became the Champions League's record scorer and helped his team hold on to qualify. In the night's other match, Porto reached the Champions League last 8 for the first time since 2009 with a comprehensive win over Basel. The Portuguese side were without top scorer Jackson Martinez, but they struck 4 fine goals as Yassin Brahimi curled in a 20-yard free kick. Hector Herrera doubled the lead before Casemiro thundered in a free kick. Vincent Abubakar then added a 4th late on before Walter Samuel saw red as Porto extended their unbeaten run in this competition to 10 games. Moving on to Cricket World Cup 2015 news. Ireland's hopes of reaching the World Cup quarter-finals suffered a blow as India sailed top spot in Pool B with a 5th straight win in the tournament. Ireland came into the match knowing that a point would see them qualify. Despite an opening stand of 89 between William Porterfield and Paul Sterling and 75 from Niall O'Brien, their 259 total was never likely to be enough, so it proved a Shikhar Dhawan 100 runs and Rohit Sharma 64 runs helped India to a comfortable 8-wicket victory. The margin of defeat is a reality check for Ireland, who have performed well above expectation in this tournament, claiming 3 wins, 2 against test-playing nations, to give them 6 points and genuine hope of reaching the last 8. They can still do so, but they will need to beat Pakistan in their final pool game or gain a point should the fixture be rained off. And lastly, athletics news. British sprinter Charles Augusta started bodybuilding at the age of 87 because he wanted to improve his appearance. 8 years later, he set a world record for runners over the age of 95. In the 200-meter dash, Augusta covered the distance in just 55.48 seconds, more than 2 seconds faster than the previous record. Augusta said after his race that he hopes he will be an inspiration to other elderly people. The idea is, I want to change the world, you see. I want to make old age something wonderful, stupendous, glorious, fantastic. Superb, interesting, and exciting. I want to make old age the best part of one's life, he was quoted as saying yesterday. So that rounds up all the sports news I have for you all tonight. Before I go, a quick recap on the top stories tonight. In African football news, Bucks end cheaper hoodoo and Amazulu thump clever boys. In international football news, Real Madrid and Porto qualify for the Champions League quarterfinals. In Cricket World Cup 2015 news, Ireland dealt qualification blow by India. And in athletics news, incredible 95-year-old man sets world record in 200-meter dash. Now, to your sports guide for today. Today, you can look forward to the Cricket ICC World Cup. It will be playing at around, 5. The repeat will be showing tonight, and it will be Scotland versus Sri Lanka showing. And cycling also, the Paris-Nice would also be showing today. You can also look forward to the African Under-20s Championship match between Nigeria and Congo, Ivory Coast versus Senegal, and also to the Premiership, the PSL that is. It will be Maritzburg United versus Chiefs and Sundowns versus Polokwane City. Those matches will be taking place between 6:30 and 7 p.m. And the big ones, the Champions League, the qualification for the quarterfinals is up for grabs when Chelsea will be playing PSG at 9 p.m. and Bayern Munich will be facing Shakhtar also at around 9:40 p.m. So make sure you look out for all those games, and I'll be back tomorrow reporting on the results and much more in the world of sport. It's a good night from me, Adelani Oguriade. Let's cross over back to Vicky Lee.
Thank you very much, Adelani, and now let's have a look at the weather. That's it from us here at RTM News. From me, Vicky Lee White. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll see you again tomorrow.